Good morning. We are doing the Uddhav Gita. This is chapter 13, and we had finished till verse 15. So now we are going to continue from verse 16 onwards. We have been doing about the Vanaprastha. That is the third stage of life after retirement. I mean, basically, you have taken a retirement, and that now you have taken a back seat. It is giving up on your material worldly benefits. You have left behind, and now the name, fame, all the awards, ceremonies, whatever that you had, your family, values that you thought you were supposed to abide by, connected to the society and the world. The idea about the state, government, taxes, you name it, all these things have been left behind over there. And you have moved ahead in your life. You have taken a back seat in everything. You have removed your name out of the world, and you have said, now I am going to only progress on this particular path, which is called the Vanaprastha. A Vanaprastha is supposedly the third part of our life. Then there is the fourth part. If you look at the age factor, roughly it gets divided into 20 years each if we have 80 years as a life cycle. But that should not be how it should be calculated. It can depend entirely on your way of thinking. If you have achieved something in your life, even at a younger age, it could be at the age of 40, and you don't want to go ahead anymore, you can still take up this Vanaprastha. If you are thinking that it is 50 now and I don't want to go ahead with this kind of a lifestyle, I'm fed up with this because everybody is out to bite another person off, I think it is high time that I give this thing up, this life. And then you feel that you have to go somewhere to learn about spiritual. Because at the end of the day, what are you here for? You have done your material worldly studies till the age of 20 or 22 or whatever. And then you have taken up a grahastha life, that is, you have taken up a life of a householder. It could have been for 20 years, 25 years after the age of 20, 22. It could have been even at the age of 16, because some people start very early in life, some people start slightly later in life, some people don't even start till the age of 25 and 30. It again depends. The third part of life is when you have got disgusted with this material world, where you know that your boss is a pain, your wife or your husband is terrible, you've seen your children are literally throwing you out of their house. They are counting on the pennies that they are spending on you. They are saying that, oh, I did this for you, I did that for you. You've seen your friends are literally going to the dogs. They have become drunkards. They have become alcoholics. You see that your friends are now into going around the world at the age of 60, 65 and 70. They think that, oh, now I got to see the world. I will go on a cruise. I will go on mountain climbing. I will go on treks. And they think that at the age of 60 and 70, they want to get married once again. Some of these people who feel, I am lonely at this point in time. Now you are going to leave all these idiots, not get involved with any of them. Because your focus is only to find the truth about life. What is this eternal truth that everybody seeks? All the great sages, the saints, the scriptures, the holy books are talking about finding the truth. So you want to find the truth. That is the reason why this Vanaprastha life is very important. You got to have time for yourself. Not to waste time over your children or your spouses or your relatives, your friends. You are not interested in your relatives and friends and wasting time over these people. Because these are the same people who have literally taken a pound of flesh from you. They have made you do whatever that has come to them, Like say for example, you will find that the children have taken money so that they can pay for the education. They have taken money to get married. I mean, these kind of things are there. And I think it is time that you take the back seat and not get involved in the material world. And that is called the Vanaprastha stage. So we will progress from verse 16 onwards. This is the Uddhav Gita chapter 13 verse 16, the last message of Sri Krishna. He should place his foot on the ground after looking well, should drink water filtered through a cloth, should speak words that have the stamp of truth on them, and act as his reason dictates. We were talking about a very frugal living, if you remember my last week's satsang. Now in this frugal living also, I am sure you are not going to carry around your filtration units that you have at home, the massive filtration units or the water purifiers. You are not going to carry Kinley bottles and all those kind of, pure water. You are going somewhere. You have to have a simple filtration technique of having a cloth piece and you can just filter the water from the tank, whichever the place is. that is the simplicity of it all. No, you don't have to carry disinfectant tablets and mosquito. There are so many things that a person carries. This carrying stuff is the problem. What are you carrying? You're carrying your whole jing bang thing from your past. Can you imagine? No, I got to carry my tablets, I got to carry my, creams, because you see, my hands get chapped, my legs, they are going to hurt a lot. I need to have my, all the pain medicines. No, that is not what is required. Here you are giving up on all this nonsensical stuff because it has given you pain only. There are some people who are stuck up in their life by taking injections after injections after injections, or some people who have done what is called as medicines. They live only on ethical medicines. Oh, I have to take this. I have to take Karela ka juice. Why? Because I have the blood pressure. I have to take Ishabgol. Why? Because I have constipation. What? I mean, your dependency on this kind of thing is too much. So that is the reason why Krishna is saying, can you live a simple, frugal lifestyle? Last week I told you that you can have a small matka, that is a water pot, which is made of mud. I have given an entire explanation of how mud is one of the best materials. And when you have that pot or whatever, even the cooler that I was talking about, it will help you. You are not going to destroy the environment. This is for sure. So this is what he says. Even when you are walking, you have to be careful. Don't step on something. You see, this is called ahimsa. Ahimsa is important. You see, when you walk in the city with your fancy Nike shoes or, those Jimmy Choos or whatever that they are, all those things, you don't bother whom you step on. Not those vermins that are there. No, you step on human beings. With your fancy boots, you step on other human beings. You want to grow in your life, that is why you are stepping on all of them. But today, you have to be careful not to step on anybody. Second, you have to be careful that there is no living creature that is killed. That is the reason why you have to be careful. So, place your foot on the ground looking well. Just look at it. You should drink water filtered through a cloth. speak should speak words that have the stamp of truth on them. Always speak the truth. Now here there is a small rider. It is not necessary to speak. You see, only when the situation demands that you open your mouth, otherwise don't open your mouth. You are not a judge over there. You yourself are finding the truth. And when you are trying to find the truth, why are you trying to judge others? So it is better to keep your mouth shut. So it is important to always speak the truth if possible. Otherwise, don't speak. And act as his reason dictates. You be very reasonable. If somebody is trying to irritate you, don't stay over there. Just move away from there. If people are throwing stones at you, don't come in their way. Just walk away from there. If somebody is wanting to argue with you, don't even stand over there for a minute. People are going to do whatever they feel like, but you are not supposed to, because you are a vanaprastha. Silence, we are doing the next verse, that is verse 17 from chapter 13 of the Uddhav Gita. Silence, inaction and control of the pranas are the restraint of speech, body and mind respectively. One who has not these, my friend, never becomes a sannyasi by simply carrying some steps. Silence, inaction and control of the pranas are the restraints of speech, body and mind respectively. You have to keep your mouth shut. It is important to maintain silence. Everything is going to trouble you. The atmosphere, the air, the weather, the people around you, the circumstances, the horrible water that you are drinking, which you are supposed to filter it. Isn't it? There is everything around you. Even the birds and the crows and all these kind of things are also going to irritate you. The rain is going to irritate you. The cold is going to irritate you. There are people who love to irritate. There are angry people. There are people who want you to do certain things in their life. There are people who are expecting too much. When all these things and people are troubling you, the one thing that you got to do is silence. Can you keep your mouth shut? And can you keep your mind totally closed? There is no need for you to utter even a single word. You see, you should know how to overcome this situation by silencing the mind and the mouth. The first thing that a person got to do is to silence, put a tape on his mouth. Don't utter one word also. Let whoever wants to do whatever they wish to. You are not supposed to even open your mouth. This lesson has come thousands of times. But the mind gets irritated when you hear something wrong, when you see something wrong, and when people are doing something wrong. According to you, understand, you are still a vanaprastha. According to you, that person is doing wrong. But according to the sages, nobody is doing wrong. The provocation has been done for your purpose, whether you can control your mind and your speech. If you cannot control your mind and speech, you are a material worldly person. You are not fit for spiritual at all. If you can argue like any of these politicians that are arguing in the world, they are purely material worldly people. You see, there are 80-year-old, 70-year-old and even 100-year-old people who are in politics and they cannot keep their mouth shut. Why? Because they have to make a statement. They want to be on the forefront of the media. Vanaprastha, you are supposed to be alone, without any attachment, completely detached and dispassionate. Then why are you talking? So you are not supposed to speak. So keep silence. The second one is called inaction. You see a lot of things happening. Maybe you see some atrocities happening. There are lots of burning down that is happening. I'm sure you have seen. Shops are looted. People are killing. There is intrusions in this world. Sorry. The neighboring country is trying to come into your country. How many things are going on? There is a pandemic going on. People are dying. There is no money in this world. Shops are closing. Businesses are going to ruins. And on top of it all, there are people who are trying to take advantage of it. The same stuff which you would have paid 5 rupees is now costing you 20 rupees or 25 rupees. You can see all this happening, and yet you do not say or do anything. Because if you are a Vanaprastha, it is not your calling. You are not a person of justice department. You are not here to do rights and wrongs in this world. Please understand. You are not here to correct the wrongs. You are here with a primary motivation of finding the truth about life. Who are you? What are you supposed to be? Why has God made you? You think God has made you a crusader? I mean, who has told you that you are supposed to be a crusader? Who has told you that you are supposed to be fighting for the rights of people? You are 50, 60-year-old. Can you just take the back seat? Those who really want to fight it out will be around 30s, 20s, 40s, that age group. Let them fight. If you have crossed over to the Vanaprastha stage and you have come on the path of spiritual and you have become an aspirant or a seeker in spiritual, it is not your calling to fight wars and fights for anything. You are not supposed to be. So you have to keep your mouth shut. Number 2, you are not supposed to be active in any space. So you are not supposed to be telling people, oh, this one got murdered. I am going to write on my Instagram post. I am going to write a tweet. There are idiots who are 60 and 70 years old who are writing tweets. That is not a done thing. Your job is to find the truth about why are you here. Were you here for that petty job of yours? Were you here to create a family? Do you think you are supposed to be getting married and having children? Is that the reason why you are here? That too, even any pig also can do. You see, there are pigs, there are hens, all these are they not giving children? The whole world. Is that the reason why you are here? Please understand this. This is a satsang meant for very few people. Not everybody is privy to listening to my channels. No. Nobody opens up without the express permission of the divine. Only when the divine gives you the permission can you listen to my words. Everybody is not entitled for listening to them. The reason is because you want to know the truth about life. Who are you? What is your position? Why has God given you this particular life of yours? What is your swadharma? And you have to progress on that path. That is the reason why you are here listening to these words. Otherwise, you would be seeing all those Netflix movies, watching all the serials, going through all the channels, and in the time of pandemic I'm talking about, today you can't go out for a movie, but you can definitely see all these movies on YouTube and Netflix and Google and Amazon, and God knows all those channels that are there. But that is not what you are supposed to be doing. You are sitting here at 6:30 in the morning listening to satsang. And if you are doing it, there must be definitely the reason why you are getting told that you have to become silent. You are supposed to be inactive, not indulge in things, not fight anybody's war or your war also. If there is a problem in the country, there are people who are going to fight the war, not you. If people are throwing stones at a store or something like that, your job is not to indulge yourself in that. You are a vanaprastha. And if you are a vanaprastha, you are not supposed to be indulging in any of these things. And the third one is called the control of the prana. You see, when you do the pranayama, you will be able to control the mind. This is an important lesson. Please listen to this. Prana, the one part of the body which is the second sheath, the number 2 sheath. It is called life forces. When you focus on the breath, you know what I'm saying? When you focus on the breath, you are not focusing on the dirt of this world. Did you get it? When you are focusing on, you are taking the breath in and you are taking the breath out and you are focusing on the prana. Do you know where your mind is now occupied? Your mind is occupied on the breathing exercise. Think about it. When you are watching a movie, isn't your mind occupied in the movie? When a person is doing surgery, doctor is cutting open a body. Don't you think that time the doctor has to be 100% there? Or do you think he must be thinking, oh, today my wife must have made some nice, food. I will go and eat. He's not thinking like that. He will make that person dead on the operating table. So you understand, these are things which are very important. So prana, the pranic shakti, the power of the life breath as they call it in English, that helps you in controlling your mind. Because you are focusing on the energy. Breathing in, breathing out. You are focusing on where the mind is taking you. It is taking you inwards, then you are attacking the particular chakra, and then you are rising higher and higher. You are basically looking at that. When you are reading a thriller novel, you know where your mind is, isn't it? You want to know who murdered whom. Exactly like that. So this is the way in which you can attach the mind towards the prana. So these are 3 things which a person should do. First one is to be silent. Second is not to indulge in any action. And the third one is to control the prana. These 3 things help you in this manner of controlling the speech, body and mind. One who has not these, that means if you are a person who has no control over these 3, my friend, you can never become a sannyasi by just simply carrying one staff with you. Wearing orange color clothes, having long hairs, putting one bhasma over here and thinking that, oh, I am carrying the kamandalu and the staff in my hand and I am going from place to place. You are a sham. If these 3 things cannot be done by you, you are not worthy of being in the world of spiritual. So controlling your speech, extremely important. Shut up, silence. Second one is controlling the body. How do you control the body? By means of inaction. And the third, controlling the mind through pranayama. Then, if you can do this, then you are on the path of spiritual, then you are a vanaprastha, and then you can become a sannyasi also. Now, we are moving to the next verse. This is verse 18 from chapter 13 of the Uddhav Gita, the last message of Sri Krishna. A sannyasi should beg his food from the 4 castes excepting the culpable. He should visit not more than 7 houses, must not think of the food beforehand, and must be satisfied with as much as is obtained. Now we have moved to the next round, which is called the sannyasi. From the vanaprastha to the sannyasa ashrama was the stages that we did. The last few verses were how you can become from a vanaprastha to a sannyasi. Now we are come to the part of a sannyasi. What is the sannyasi supposed to do? First and foremost, he is not supposed to carry any meal with him. Okay, I am taking packaged meals. Sir, you are not supposed to be taking packaged meals. And you are not supposed to store the meals also. Your life is literally like a bird. You see, when the bird wants it, the bird flies and catches its whatever it needs. It goes and searches for food. Animals also do the same in the jungles. They don't store food somewhere. What they do is, when they have to hunt, they will hunt. When they have to go after the food, they will go after the food. It's exactly like the bird or the animal. You are supposed to be doing exactly like that. And what do? If you are a sannyasi, your job is to go to minimum 4 houses and just ask for food. Alright? Humbly. Not going and say, hey, if you don't give me food. No, not that way. You have to be very humble while asking for food. Remember, what are you doing? You are begging. Now, I told you that we are going to translate this into what is called as modern day, application. So I will give you the modern day application. The modern day application is, I'm not asking you to become a sannyasi. This is already a sannyasi who has put on the ochre clothes. The one who is mentioned over here is supposed to go to the 4 castes and ask for food. Not from the mlecha, basically somebody who has been thrown out of the society, not from them. Alright, so he can go and ask for food. And he's not supposed to think about the food in the first place. Oh, today I am going to enjoy this nice meal. There is a nice party going on in this house. Somebody's birthday is there. So they must have made a meal. I will go to their house. This is not the way you are supposed to think of. No. At random, you are supposed to knock the houses and take the meal. Whatever that is offered. And if you are not given anything, then that day you have to go hungry. This is what used to happen in the olden times. Today's day. So we are going to modify for today. You see, there are people who have crossed 50s and 60s of their life. They are on the path of vanaprastha and the sannyasa ashrama. Do you know what they are supposed to do? They are not supposed to be bothered about what food comes on their plate. First and foremost, they are not supposed to be, bothered that, oh, today we are going to eat this. Today we are going to make this nice tasty dish. Tasty dish? You are suffering from all the material worldly problems and you want to make a dish for yourself. You are supposed to eat the simplest food. A dal rice, a curd rice. You got what I am saying? But today's day and age, the horrible things that you get to see, people are making fried stuff. No. With that dal rice and that sabji and that chapati and this, I want to have a little bit of, little taste, little taste. I want one little pickle. I want fried papadums. Wow. This is today's day and age. Today these old people are thinking like this. Sir, your legs are in that grave already, half dead. And you want to even stuff your body with this kind of a things? You should eat what is given to you. You see, don't bother about saying, somebody comes and asks you, can I make something for you? Don't say that, can I eat this? Can I eat this? No, don't worry about all that thing. Whatever comes in your plate, you are supposed to eat. It could be the simplest meal. It could be rasam rice in India. It could be just a plain chapati. It doesn't really matter. You are not supposed to have preferences. You're not supposed to grind masalas for it. You're not supposed to be making all kinds of tadkas for it. I have seen people who eat idli with chutneys. I want that chutney, I want that chutney, and I want that chutney. I want this kind of a sambar, I want that kind of a rasam. For what? What preference are I talking about? This is a time in your life where you should be thinking about the divine constantly. Whereas they have parties, parties means an old woman who is a grandmother, they call it. In our Marathi, we used to call them Ajji. Ajjis are cooking chickens and muttons and all those kind of things. They are putting up bloody shows on YouTube. You are a half-dead boss. What are you trying to do? You're 70-year plus, and what are you trying to do? You're showing the world, this is what you can do. And see, nice taste. You know where you're going to go, isn't it? After you're dead and gone, I am going to send you to an abattoir. I don't know whether you know what that means. There are lots of hells available for you. Yes, you are also going to become like a chicken and a mutton over there. Don't worry. Yeah, and we are going to put a nice masala on top of you also. What are you talking about? You are an old person, an old man, and an old woman, and you are looking at all the fancy meat and the stuff that you are making? Come on. Don't be silly. It is a time for you to find out the truth about life. How many more years do you have left in your life? After you have crossed 50 and all, do you really know how many years you will be alive? You may be dead in the next 2 years' time or 1 year's time, or even tomorrow for that matter. By the time a person is 50 and 60, there is no guarantee of life at all. Actually, when I met my grandmother, from the age of I think 60, 65 or 70, she used to say, no, this is my last meal. I am going to die very soon. And every year we used to say, see, you have come with such a lengthy life, you are not dying at all. I think we will die first before you. And she went on crossing 90s. And this is not a done thing. I mean, even if you're crossing 90s or 70s or whatever, there are two paths which you are supposed to take, Vanaprastha or the Sannyas Ashrama. I am giving you the Sannyas Ashrama which every individual should do at home. I'm not asking you to become a sannyasi and go out with orange colored clothes. But this much you can do, no? You can wear simple clothes. I lost my foster father just 2 days ago. That man had one banyan. No, banyan, I don't know what you call it in English. Okay, that. And one pair of, lungi. Lungi is the cloth that you wrap. You will not believe this. Way back in the 90s, I had gifted him a pair too. Whenever I used to go to Calcutta, I would gift him a pair of banyans and lungi. And I had brought him a pair of chappals. What do you call them? Slippers. The slippers at that time used to cost 20 rupees. I'm not joking. Slippers from Bata used to cost 20 and 25 rupees. The maximum I might have paid for a slipper was 30 rupees. So for him in the early 90s, I had bought this and given him. When I went many years later also, you know what this man was doing? The strap was worn out. He would only replace the strap. Even when he died, he was wearing those old chappals, by the way. That is the way how a man should live. And he told me 10, 15 years ago, he said, Suresh, don't get me anything. Why? You come and see in the cupboard. You know what? You have given me this year, this you have given me this year. I have still not opened the packaging. I just want to give it away to somebody. But because I love you, that's why I'm just keeping it. Can you imagine this? And there are people today, have I got a new sari for me? You went to Calcutta, get me 5 saris from there. You have people like this in the age of 60s, 65, 70s who are asking you for saris. And there are people who are in 70s who are thinking of football. What kind of a nutcase are you? This is a time when you should be taking a back seat and thinking only of God. There are people who are thinking of all the ridiculous things in the world. Can you get me this particular thing? I want this kind of shoes. I'm aghast at the way the world is going. Today's day and age, Bapi, my foster father, is the prime example how a person should live. He did not have a house of his own. He was given, somebody had given him a house. He was staying as a tenant over there. The little pension that he used to get, all his medicines and stuff like that was going in that. He never asked a single penny from anybody. The clothes that he was wearing were the clothes given to him 20, 25, 30 years ago. Even the footwear was so old. That is a kind of life. And then, till the time he could walk, he would go twice a day to Ramakrishna Ashram and listen to all the bhajans and the kirtans over there and all the beautiful songs over there, constantly taking the name of Sai Baba and Ramakrishna Paramahansa. That is a holy person. Whereas we have idiots in this world who are elderly people and they are thinking, oh, who has won the trophy? This movie is very good. What? They are thinking about all kinds of activities, playthings. They are thinking of money. You know how much money it costs? Sir, leave all that aside. Don't bother your head about it. Get into the state of sannyas. You are already crossed 60 maybe. You should be a sannyasi, completely giving up on all the things. Whoever feeds you, whatever you should be taking. You should not be bothered about new clothes. You should not be bothered about what food is going to get made. That is what he says. Must not think of the food beforehand and must be satisfied with as much as obtained. Whatever you get to eat, by the grace of some person, by the grace of God, of course, God is giving you through this person. Eat that. Not some fancy food. Not even for one day. Now I just want to indulge my senses, for one day. Have you not done that for so many years of your life? I think it is worth it. Today you need to give up. Do you go and give some, chilies to a child? I mean, just think about it. Do you give him fancy stuff and chilies to a child? No. You have become like a child. Why are you eating all those fancy stuff? And that is the reason why a man has to realize and understand that he has gone from this path to that path. And his job is to think about the reason why I am here and what is the reason for my existence. And it should be constant. There should be not a single hour in the day when the person should be saying, no, today I am tired, That is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be silent. Remember this? Number 1, silence. Number 2, inaction. You're not supposed to be doing some kind of a work or activity or things like that. No. Number 3 is the control of the pranas. You should be thinking about controlling your prana so that your mind doesn't talk. But we have people who have crossed their 60s and their mind just chatters. Worthless people. There isn't a single hell which they will be given admission to. Heaven to forget it. Even in the hell, you need some, notification. Okay, you are worthy of this hell. Please come here. There are 7 hells, by the way. And these 7 hells are guarded by the great gods themselves. You may think that there is some devil over there. No, 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 no. You are mistaken. There are sages and there are saints and there are people who are specifically meant for that. They are the highest people, by the way, in terms of spiritual. They are guarding those doors. They are the ones who are in charge of that entry point also. I'm sure you have heard of Bali Maharaj. Yes. He was one of the greatest. Didn't he meet Vamana? So, you think you can pass Bali Maharaj? No. So, always be careful what you do and how you do after you have crossed a certain age of your life. It's time for you to do this kind of activities. We'll move to verse 19, chapter 13 from the Uddhav Gita, the last message of Sri Krishna. Going to a tank outside the village and bathing there, he should purify the food he has collected and offer portions to the deities, and all creatures silently eat the remnant without saving anything. Now this is an important part of the meal. When the meal has to be taken, you got to be clean. And cleanliness doesn't mean that, I need hot piping water to take a bath. Oh, in the jungles you are going to get that? If you are in the Himalayas today, what kind of a water are you going to get? Or there is some person who is going to serve you hot piping water so that you can take a nice bath? I can't take bath in the open. People say this. You're bothered about what? Showing your body to others? Your body is worthless piece of trash. And you are so much bothered about other things? No, I need the best towels. What towels? Bombay dyeing towels. And when you go down to that Ramraj cotton, please buy a nice towel and maybe a nice pancha for me. This is what people think. And I need that soap, the one which is, oh my God, you need a soap, you need scrubs, you need this, you need that. Your body is not even worth that much. Understand, you are a vanaprastha? Cleanliness is the thing. You are supposed to clean your body just like that, not even with a soap. Remember the verses previous to it? So, use as simple as possible. Now, we are just going to adapt this to the person who is staying in the city or somebody who is staying in a small town. How is he supposed to be living? Have a simple bath, a clean bath. Got it? After having this clean bath, he should purify his food. There are certain mantras which purify the food. In olden times, we used to take out a little food and keep it at the side and, put the water right around it, pray for some time so that we are offering this to all the gods over there. The god has to be given his sacrifice. So before you eat even the food which you might have begged from outside, that food also has to be offered to God. And this is how you should do. He should purify the food that he has taken, offer portions to the deities. There are different things that you are supposed to offer. So when you offer this to the deity, when you are offering the food to the deities, I'm showing you how they do. See? Or when they are doing it, it is important that you do it not, your saliva dripping, or you're going to eat a nice kheer. No. No. You are offering it to the gods first. And when the gods partake of it, Now you are not going to see the gods come and sit in front of you and partake of it. You should know this. The gods are in the subtle bodies. They come and partake of the food because they have to get their portion of it. So they get their portion. Your past people from the past, they also get their portion. There are other kinds of creatures who also get their portion. So when you're offering these, they are getting all their portions. The food, which is the physical form of it, you are going to get to eat it. Got it? So offering portions to the deities, all creatures silently eat the remnant. Can we have a dinner table conversation? Shut up. Remember the word silence? Don't have a dinner time conversation. You are supposed to eat the food, the remnants of the food. Remnants means you have offered it to all the deities, isn't it? Gods, deities, everybody you have offered. After that, you are supposed to eat the food. So eat the food in silence. And everything that is offered in the plate. Now, in my case, what do I do? Whatever is offered in the plate for the first time only, I will eat that much. So if you have filled a plate for me, I am not going to eat after that. There is no second helping or third helping. No, I liked it. I like this kheer. Can you give me second helping? Can you give me third helping? What is your age, by the way? You should have been a vanaprastha. Or you should have been a sannyasa. You know, these two ashramas are important. Can I get a second helping? Can I get a third helping? Wow. Look at your age. Think about what your body can do. And the thing that you're supposed to be focused on is called spiritual, isn't it? So you're thinking about taking second portions? That is one thing you can definitely avoid, isn't it? If you are getting 2 idlis to eat, eat those 2 idlis and enough of it. Don't ask for, can I have a second helping please? My sambar is over. Can you get me more sambar? No. If you get this much of sambar, eat that much only. What comes to you naturally. Please remember the words very carefully. What has come to you naturally in its own accord. Whatever food has come to you naturally on its own accord is a sattvic food. Anything that is incurred by means of a desire, I want to have a second helping, has not come to you naturally. It is your desire, and that desire is going to cause you a karma in your life. Please understand this. Every time when you ask for extra food, it's your desire. And that desire is going to cause you misery. Not in this lifetime, maybe in this lifetime also, because if you are eating too much of sugar or too much of oil and ghee and whatever, you are anyway going to have diabetes and all those kind of nonsense. Forget this life. In all your future lives. The reason is very, very simple. It has not come to you naturally. You are demanding for it or you are asking for it. The moment, even if you ask for a piece of cloth, suppose you say, can you get me a sari from here? Finished. That sari has come out of your desire, and because it has come out of your desire, you are going to go to hell. Hell doesn't mean actual hell. The hell which I am talking about is called rebirth. You will say, just because of sari you are punishing me? No. There are those huge laws that are written, if you remember. And you may want to know why am I saying so? Okay, I will give you an explanation. Now let us say you are 60 years old or 65 years old. And you are telling your daughter or your son, you see, when you go to this place, no, can you get me one sari from there, or can you get me some nice cloth or something like that? Or over there you get nice sweets. Can you get me those sweets? Now you may think that you are not incurring any karma. I will tell you how the karma happens. You see, when your son or daughter is buying the sari, and getting it for you, it has not come naturally. Okay, it has not come to you naturally. Now the thing comes. That sari was meant for another person, and because your son and daughter has gone and bought it and given to you, then the karma of that person who has not been given the sari is on you. Did you get this whole thing? I hope someday in life you will learn this lesson. That some things which are not supposed to come to you naturally, and they are coming to you by force because of whatever the desires that you have, that is not supposed to come to you. Only things which come to you naturally are supposed to come to you. Got it? But if you are demanding for it, if there is a desire in it, if there is something associated with, oh, I want that thing from there. By the way, that object was supposed to go to somebody else and now it has come to you. Thank you very much for taking that person's karma on your head. Got it? This is a very small example for you to understand that never demand things. Never even have even the simplest desire. Can you get me this butter from there? That also you are not supposed to bother. Got it? So, we're doing verse 20. This is from chapter 13, the last message of Sri Krishna, Uddhav Gita, verse 20. He should roam over the earth alone, without attachment, and with the sense under control. All his pastimes should be in the self as well as the pleasures. He should be of a steady mind and look evenly upon everything. He should roam around the earth. When you are a vanaprastha or when you are a sannyasa or a sannyasi, you are supposed to be roaming all over the earth. Not by buying fancy tickets, okay? Oh, can I get a first class ticket? No, not that way. Can I take this booking from this train, from this place to that place? No. You're not even supposed to be bothered about that. Okay? Go in an unreserved compartment or walk down. Go by bus where there is no reservation. Got it? So if you really want to take up the vanaprastha and the sannyasa ashrama, don't go in a reserved bus or a train or a taxi or whatever that is. No. You're just going around. And you have got 2 feet. Walk with them. Got it? That is what you can do. Now, as I said, I will translate this for the material world. But first let me complete this. Senses should be under control. When you are passing from some village and you say, oh, this place is very good for the chikkis. This place is very good for the, halwas that you get. Ambur biryani. I'm passing Ambur, nice biryanis you get. Heavenly smells. Sir, you are a sannyasi. Get out of that place. Go away. You are not supposed to be bothered. No desires should be attracting you. Come here. No. Senses should be under control. All the pastimes should be in the self. The constant thought about being in the self should be there. That means all the withdrawal from outside is inside. You are focused only on the inside. That is in the pure self. Not in the petty self of yours. Oh, I'm very hungry just now. I should be eating this. I want this and I want that. No, that is your petty self. We are talking about the higher self. And get lost in that higher self only. Not bothered about, oh, my legs are hurting. I cannot go here. Maybe I should take a break over here. No. Whatever you can. Like I said, it has to come naturally to you. That's it. If you are sitting outside a place and somebody comes and offers you a packet of food, it's entitled for you. Why? Because God has sent you that food. Got the answer? All pastime should be in the self as well as the pleasures. He should be in a steady mind and look evenly upon everything. You should not be bothered about, the differences in the world. There should be an equanimity of mind. And that is how a person should live. Now we come to the material worldly people, those who are in the cities and towns and those who there are no jungles to go to. For that kind of a person, what is he supposed to do? First and foremost, there is no place to roam. Okay, so forget about roaming anywhere. But it is important to have no attachment whatsoever. The attachment for this elderly person is my grandchildren. You know what? I have to go and see them once in a year at least. My friends are coming over. I should take him out for lunch or dinner. No attachment, sir. If somebody comes to visit you, well and good. If somebody doesn't come to visit you, not bother about it. If your grandchildren are coming to visit you, okay. If they are not coming, okay. Doesn't matter. Why are you bothered? Why should you be bothered that they are not looking after you or nobody is taking care of me? No. Detachment is the most important word over here. You have to live your life in a completely detached manner. Roaming around means very simply being lost in the self, completely immersed in the innermost God of yours. The questions are important to be answered. Who am I? What am I doing over here? What is the God's reason for putting me on this earth? And am I doing that job? So suppose you are doing that job, suppose you are serving the society in that manner. Go and serve those people. If you have to serve those people, then serve them diligently without any botheration. Don't be bothered that somebody is fat, somebody is thin. Don't be bothered. Somebody is black, somebody is white. Why are you bothered about all these things? You're supposed to be even-minded. With equanimity in the mind, you are supposed to serve. If that is the reason why you are here, serve the society in that manner. If you are supposed to be doing satsangs, then you do the satsangs constantly. There should be no restrictions whatsoever. You can do the satsang just like that. And this is the way how you are supposed to lead your life. All the pastimes should be in the self as well as the pleasures. There should be no personal pleasure being drawn. You understand? You are not supposed to be bothered about some fancy stuff coming your way. No, that is not right. You are not supposed to be indulging in these kind of activities anymore. So just let it be. Don't bother yourself about all these things. What comes to you naturally on its own accord, which is suitable for your age and for the ashrama that you are in. That is all you are allowed to take. You see, if there is an offering given to you where you are given some 3 sweets, okay, there is some rice and there is some dal and something like that. You are not supposed to be taking, can I take 1 piece from here, 1 piece from here, 1 piece from here? No. No. What is the simplest food available over there? The curd rice or the dal rice, take that. Because it has come to you naturally. Doesn't mean that the other sweets, you can definitely say no to them, because first remember that there should be no desire whatsoever. In the same way, you are not supposed to be bothered about things, because you need to have equanimity of mind. Your mind should not be going here and there, here and there, here and there. You should not be bothered about how things are happening in this world. One most important thing, if you are an oldie, why are you still getting the newspapers? Why are you still watching the television? Why are you still indulging in all those nonsensical activities? Give up those material worldly things, because the newspaper or the news channels or whatever that you see on the television or whichever place that you are watching is disturbing you. Your mind is never going to be steady. Your prana is going to be out and your mind is going to be going round and round and round and thinking of all the atrocities in the world. That is why give up on that also. And this is the way in which a person can live the 2 ashramas called Vanaprastha and the Sannyasa ashrama. So we have come to the end of the satsang over here at verse 20. Next time, tomorrow, we will start verse 21 onwards. So You have a great day today, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye.